Hi again, Andy here to talk some more about using SOLIDWORKS in your design work in engineering school. This video is going to be about making graphics for reports. I've seen a lot of reports over the years where students take, say, a 2D drafting file with a page boundary and everything and stick that in a report, and it ends up being really tiny on the page. Not very compelling. Likewise, I've seen students who will take a very beautifully rendered graphic from CAD, put that in a report, and you can't actually see what the different parts are. Also not the best. So what I want to show you are some simple ways to make a good, clear graphic that will go in a report. I'll put in the comments a link to a textbook that is out there. I'm one of the authors for it, and it talks about writing reports, and it talks about graphics for writing reports. I'll put that in the comments, and hopefully you'll find that useful if you want to go further. But let's get started. Here's the birdhouse that you've seen so much of already, and this is just the default where we left it. Notice that the previous video where we did 3D printing of this base plate, I saved the changes that we made, and you can see that the hole that I put in the bottom of it is still there. So that was captured. And just it wants me to save the document. I'll save it. Sometimes it'll tell you when you haven't saved something for a while. So here we have the assembly of this object. Now, if I were just to take this and print it, I've got a light gray object, a dark gray object, not the best look. So if I were going to try and reproduce this for a report or something, that might be hard to put in a report, especially if it was ever to be printed on paper. So for starters, it's a good idea to pick one of these other display formats. Now, these different display formats, if your computer isn't quite as fast as others or doesn't have much RAM, then you might find that showing shaded with edges, which is what I've been using, is slow. And you might have already gone to one of the other view formats. For instance, shaded without edges, and that's not very clear. Not shaded, but with hidden lines removed. That's nice for an external view, but you don't really know what's going on inside. Often you'll find that this sort of a view is the most effective. That's the hidden lines are visible, but they're in a different shade or different line style. You can also just have a wireframe, likewise, not very clear. So I would encourage you for reports to use a format like this. Now, how to output this? There's lots of different ways. One of the easiest things to do is you can just do a screen capture. So I can do an image capture here. So what you'll find after you've done the screen capture is that nothing really happened. Well, if you go and open up, let's say, a Microsoft Word document, and you just paste a picture, you'll see that actually what had happened was the image of your screen got put on the clipboard in Windows, and you can see it here. Now, notice a couple of the things. One is it took the whole monitor. Now that's easy enough to crop, but it has this crazy white and gray kind of shading background. And that's not the greatest. So let's go back and make some changes to the format of the view. There. So that we can get rid of that. So first of all, you might find that you've got, say, sketches enabled. And you'll see when I click that button, the sketch for the roof line up here was visible. We don't really want that. Likewise, if you've got some dimensions in your drawing, the dimensions might be visible. Maybe you want them, maybe you don't. If you're using annotations, so basically you can go around and turn off all of the things that you don't want. The bounding box, sometimes you'll see that will get in the way. So you can go through this view and turn things off. You can also go to this Apply Scene tool. And whereas we had this 3-point faded, we just might want to make it white. And so if you've done that, and you can bring the view back. Now if we go and go to View and Screen Capture, Image Capture, and if I paste there, no more crazy background stuff. It's shown up as a simple image in Word. I can go and edit that image. I'll have to make Word a little bigger so I can see the rest of the tools. I can go and crop that. This is all the rest of the view window that I don't want. There. Now sometimes you'll find that you're wasting a lot of space in Word, and if you use this Compress Pictures tool, and you can apply it to whichever, then that will save some space. So now I've got an image in Microsoft Word in my report that is clear and clean, and I could even add some callouts and annotation to it. I won't go into that too much, but now we've got an image that we could start working with. Now, you may wonder, well, that's not very realistic looking. So perhaps you'd like to go back to this view, and looks solid, but it's also not very realistic looking. You can go into each of the parts, and you'll see if you just right-click on each of the components in your component list, right-click, you'll see that there's a bunch of tools in here we haven't tried using before. For instance, there's Appearances. And if I click the Appearances button for the ugly birdhouse, it comes up with some tools here that I can play with. I can apply at component level, that's within the assembly, or I could actually apply these appearances at the part document level. I'm just going to use it at the component level. And I'd like to make the roof, I guess I'm working on the body of the thing, I'd like to make it a nicer blue perhaps. I can look at these other things as well. So for instance, the surface finish. I could try some different surfaces. Some of them are pretty weird. The color just ends up being a color. And if I click the OK button, then what you'll see, first of all, my birdhouse is blue. It's still transparent, but if I make it not transparent, now it's that intense blue. Doesn't look very realistic, but then it does look like a model. I can select a different component, right click on it, and again go to Appearances, and maybe I want to have my roof red. And so you'll see lots of CAD models that have these colors applied to them, and that's kind of cool. We'll try this one as well. think I want to make this one a bit more dark gray. And so now I've got something that, at least on the screen, looks a bit more solid. And the same thing as before. Screen capture, image capture, and you'll be able to copy this directly into your Microsoft Word document. There we go. And so that gives you a nice resolution image that you can then use in your reports. There's a lot of other things that we can do with this. For instance, I haven't turned on this thing called Real View Graphics. And you'll find that when you start playing with graphics, that you can do a lot of other things. And each of these tools that you put in there, except for cartoon, which makes it less realistic, like so. This enables you to make something that is a little bit more compelling of an image. And again, I could simply screen capture this, go over to my report, wherever that is, whoops, and paste. And you can see that this has given me yet another version of the image. So you can play around with that. There's lots of tools you can apply to that, and suit yourself as to what gives you the best view. So we'll stop there. Thanks for watching. There's lots more we can do with this, but that'll get you started with the basics.